Wave 1. Move.
So, the sisters are doing it for themselves this week. After several installments centered around our up-and-coming Jedi learner, this week throws the reins over to our two lead women of the show, Sabine and Hera, as they seek to escape a desperate situation with a compromised ship, whilst the questions start to fly about who can be trusted, as Hera informs us that there's a new intelligence contact for them.
That's not a dummy.
This week's episode title, I believe, carries a double meaning too, in relation to both our duo finding their way through the darkness on the remnants of an Axis, surrounded by several ferocious Furnox ready for a meal, but also regarding the group's steady ascent from the shadows in their fight against the Empire. And as we'll come to see by the end of the season, Hera's informant is someone who embodies the light out of darkness, and is a guide for our gang moving forward, literally setting them off with the necessary information and tools to gather what they need, and essentially creates the foundations of this side of the rebellion.
No one else has a better idea, so fuck it.
We begin this one with a speedy chase across the canyons of Lothal, where Hera, Sabine and Ezra are in a tight spot trying to avoid a group of ties, to which Hera is able to achieve but at the cost of the Phantom's underbelly. Once they return to the Ghost, Hera instructs Zeb, Ezra and Chopper to repair the ship, ready for her and Sabine's next mission, with the question currently being how unprepared they are for the rise in defense of the Empire, who Hera feels are becoming more and more aware of their next moves. This is mixed in with some easiness from Sabine, who's questioning why they can't know who Fulcrum is, and that this is reminiscent of her Imperial Academy days where she was just instructed to follow blindly, to which Hera repeatedly tries to reassure her she's safe in not knowing in case the Empire manages to capture them.
No, he's got a point.
As this transpires, Ezra, Zeb and Chop complete almost all of the repairs but fail to check the diagnostics due to Chopper's assholery, but later give the assurance that the ship was repaired without completing the checks.
Who's the dumbass?
Whoa! Hey, how about a little professional courtesy here?
What's that, dumbass?
Say it again.
You want me to?
I dare you.
Dumbass.
Meaning the girls jump into hyperspace and land on the broken system of an Axis with fuel quickly depleting. As they're travelling through though, Fulcrum contacts Hera to inform her that they had to leave the planet, but that there are a few cases of Rhydonium waiting for the pair to collect. As the ladies begin to load up, they spot a fuel leak and one of the cases has a couple of curious scratch marks in it, which clue them into the abundance of Furnox inhabiting the remnants of this world.
Fuck.
Whilst this revelation sets in, Ezra and Zeb double check the diagnostics and rush to Kanan, who already senses that the girls are in trouble and gets the Ghost ready to collect them, but for now, Sabine and Hera must fend for themselves. Back on an Axis, Sabine realises the creatures can't be around the sun, but that a large piece of asteroid is on the way and is large enough to block out the sun, giving the Furnox enough time to make their move. Sabine makes the suggestion of placing several canisters of Rhydonium in strategic and distant spots to blow up in the aims of reducing the numbers of creatures in one swoop.
I love it when a plan comes together.
As they get to work setting up the traps, Sabine becomes overwhelmed with questions and tries to pull every card in the book to get Hera talking.
You're chatty.
But Mama Hera wasn't raised a fool, and she sees what she's trying to do and reassures Sabine that she can trust her and that she trusts her as well. Shortly after, the asteroid casts its shadow, leaving Hera and Sabine to get to work, and we see that the plan is in effect, but they're quickly overwhelmed until the boys arrive and kick some ass and collect the ladies and get out of there. And after they get away, Ezra and Zeb apologise, with Chopper deflecting as usual, and Hera asks that Sabine trust her for now, and when the time is right, she'll know everything that she needs to. But if there was ever a moment that would alleviate her concerns over trust in this group, it would be the fact that Hera trusted her life in Sabine's hands and lived. So they agreed to call it quits for now. Now, I think we can agree that the conversation essentially went round in circles for this episode, but the realisation that Sabine doesn't exactly trust the Spectres yet was interesting to learn, as we don't know specifically how long she's been with them or even how she came to be with them, but it gives us a start point to the journey we'll watch her undergo of learning to accept things in life and put her faith in others.
Trust me, I'm the Doctor.
As we learned in this as well, that during her time in the Imperial Academy, she was instructed to follow blindly and understand her position even when she didn't. So the setup here and her arc in general will be the trust that she has in others. It's established without saying as such, and yes, the Empire are part of the problem, but we'll come to learn later in the series that her own family abandoned her when she defected from the Empire to preserve themselves.
It all makes sense now.
Leading to Sabine developing deep-seated trust issues around unquestionable loyalty without a basis for why you should be that way. But it also explains why she's so resistant to the Spectres throughout this season alone, and let's be honest, it's possibly the most relatable quality to Sabine. Many of us have suffered from misplaced loyalty and trust issues in life, so to have it reflected here in her, and watch the healing begin over the seasons is a form of representation I rather like, as it's a basic but powerful thing to rebuild inside yourself of trust and to try and have faith that others will have your best interests at heart. The evasive nature to Hera though is understandable, but there's something I never considered before till recently. Sabine left the academy not long ago at least, so essentially is a fresh defector, meaning there would be a period of time that you'd allow for to ensure that your interests and connections are safe, before you offer something as important as the link to your intel in case she's a double agent.
No. He's got a point.
It might be a cynical take on the matter, but not unreasonable as well. Hera is a great judge of character, as we'll come to see later in the season, so it's a fair thought at least. And you could argue that she was too harsh, but I feel it was exactly what it needed to be. These are dark times in the galaxy, and if there was ever a chance to get one up on the Empire, I would take what I could get and not compromise anything. The idea of writing a dramatic series, I've learned as well, is to give each of your core cast a secret that's so precious they'd rather die than reveal it to keep the interest in them going.
If I tell you something, will you promise to keep it a secret?
Secret handshake.
Secret!
But in a stroke of genius for the writers to understand that fact, they can often turn the secret into a motivator as well, but exist in addition to those other personality traits with a larger payoff by the end, which we will come to see for Sabine. And this idea is something that Rebels delivers on extremely well, I might add, by setting up the understanding that there's something deeper going on for each of our characters, but teasing it out until you've just about forgotten it, or they might just swing right back to it and reveal it to us.
Good job.
Plus, this is for now the closest we see Sabine truly opening up about her past before Season 3 with her duel against Kanan, in possibly my favourite moment from the entirety of the series that is oozing passion, intensity and agency for her character.
And I gotta tell you, it was perfect. Perfect. Everything, down to the last minute details.
Now, as usual, I do like to point out the little plot setups and nods of what came before and what is yet to come, so if you're not that far into the series, skip ahead and I'll mark the chapters like I normally do. Starting with the mention of the Empire's precautionary measures starting to step up. This is where I believe Governor Price is starting to implement stricter regiments to root out rebel activity on Lothal, which is making it simpler to predict moves and drown out whoever would consider standing up against the Empire. And very soon in this season, both Agent Callus, Grand Moff Tarkin, Minister Tua and the Grand Inquisitor all start to take active steps in trying to snuff out movements on Lothal before they occur, and I think we're starting to see the seedings of that plot point here. Then, Anaxis. We only return to this world once more in the show, but we actually came back to Anaxis in Clone Wars' final season a few years back as the planet of interest that began the Bad Batch arc. And if you were eagle-eyed enough, you would have spotted several Fernok in the background of the clones' campfire, explaining why there is so much Republic artillery left on this planet here, as this was likely one of the Republic's last bases before Imperial control. There is a question regarding what happened here, and that is yet to be answered, and I'd love to maybe see some answers to it crop up in the Bad Batch's third and final season, but we did see that the surface of the planet was almost like glass when the Batch's and Rex's ship crashed on the world, and this feeds into my next talking point, but for Fulcrum to recommend this world as the fuel depot and smuggler point would tell me that this was one of the locations the Empire deems useless. But Captain Rex might have left with Ahsoka as a location the Empire wouldn't think to monitor, allowing for transactions and handovers like this. As it's revealed in Season 2 when Ahsoka recommends the Spectres try and find an old friend, later revealed to be Captain Rex, for support, she mentions that he carries a list of bases and locations he never bothered to report to the Republic or the Empire.
Fan-fucking-dabby-dozy.
So this could possibly be one of those ones that he gave to her before they left each other following Order 66, as she got back into the fight following the incident in Tales of the Jedi, so she might have approached him for information then. Just speculating of course, but it would be cool for things like this to be a little more connected. But more importantly than that, in just a few episodes time we'll come to see Ezra and Kanan going up against the Grand Inquisitor, where we witness Ezra tap into the dark side to protect Kanan and call upon the Fernox to take down TGI Fridays and his forces. This is a moment that shakes Kanan to the very core and rattles his faith in being able to train Ezra, but as equally damaging as the moment may be, it shoves a boot up his ass and installs the determination in him to see that Ezra's trained properly so that this doesn't happen again. It's an incredible moment in the show that's led by the sheer malicious hatred of the Grand Inquisitor with perfect line delivery, the lighting is direct and poignant and the atmosphere binds it together as a hint of something more volatile on the way. As for the rest of this episode though, it was a delightful time with a firm introduction as to the hierarchy within the group, and shifting the focus to the women was done without feeling forced and answered how capable Hera was beyond flying. The compromised situation they were placed in as a result of Zeb and Ezra's antics was a good reminder that for however fun this series may be, there are consequences to the asinine aspects. Where the boys became so focused on settling the score with Chopper, they left Sabine and Hera for dead.
Who's the dumbass?
Whoa! Hey, how about a little professional courtesy here?
What's that, dumbass?
Say it again.
You want me to?
I dare you.
Dumbass.
Had it not been for Kanan's reconnection with the Force, the girls might have been completely screwed. But they held their own, and to see such a calculated maneuver from Sabine was unexpected, as she comes across as a more shoot first, ask never type of Mando, but it worked. The lighting of this one was key as well, from the glaring sun to the glowing eyes. It all worked to generate the uneasiness, and I love the idea of the asteroid acting like a ticking clock for a Five Nights at Freddy's situation that just heightened the drama where you just hope to survive the night. So overall, this one continues the trend of incredible writing and scripting that gives us so much context for later, and fire to warm ourselves with as the journey continues with our ragtag group of rascals. That's going to do it for this week though, everyone. Thank you so much for stopping by. Be sure to come back for my reviews each week by subscribing, leave a like on this video, and until next time everyone, take care, and may the Force be with you.